John Walski, and I played Brother John, and Brother John was sort of the strong hand, I guess, in some ways. Interesting sort of character, sort of straightforward in his thinking, and you could tell just by, I guess, the way he talked what his motivation was, and it was sort of money and greed. And one of the lines of blood is blood, but money is money, sort of encompassed what, the way he thought, and I guess the way he acted.
Now your character is the right-hand man to Big Sammy. What was it like doing the little action sequence that you had?
Well, doing the little action sequence was...
I'll tell you, I kind of envisioned him as like an English butler being the Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the things, you look at the guy and you really don't think he has a move, but he pulls something out, and that's part of his way of being in control. And I think the way he ended up taking the guys out showed that control in some ways. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't pull a gun, but that was too messy, I guess, for that particular situation. That's his way of thinking. But that was an interesting for myself to look at the fact that I had to take on two guys. Considering my size, I thought that was sort of funny. But yeah, I guess we did it in Brother John method. It was taking two at a time. I don't know. It was okay.
How do you think it turned out, the movie?
I liked it. I think as I was saying before, I think going into black and white was probably added a lot to the movie versus doing it in color. I think there's a lot more that can be said, and more that can be seen in black and white. And I think in using black and white, it colored the film, I think, a lot better in the way of character and the grays and blacks of what we go through, but yet things are cut and dry, and so it sort of symbolizes the white and black of the greed and the crime and all the nasty things that the drugs and everything else that were covered in there. So I like the way it came out. I like the way it was tied together. No, it was relaxed. It was. It was comfortable. Everybody was sort of ready to work and go at it. So I like the way the shoot went. It was easier for me. I think I had the easiest job because I was in one location and really didn't have to worry about too much. The blood was rather interesting, but when you get shot, I guess that's what comes about. So
one last question. How is this different than your theater work? I mean, you do mostly theater work, but this is your first film?
I've done a little bit of industrial film, training videos, those kind of things. Yeah, but I mean, as far as more of a movie style of a film, yeah, this was the first, and it is a little different than when you're doing theater, because you can play a lot larger on the theater, and here you just have to play it real. You have to, bring it back a little bit. Because the camera catches absolutely everything you do. So, if your gesture was a little too big, you got to bring it down. And same thing as far as the speech and just overplaying something. And I'd much rather play more natural, much more low key. I think there's interest. I think it's very interesting to try to pull somebody that's a little quieter or something. It sort of draws people in. And with film, you get to do that. And here I felt I got to. So.
You like playing the character?
Yeah, I think the character was fun. There was something about him that was very interesting. The way he looked versus the situation he was in was sort of, I found in some ways to be a little contrasting, and I sort of liked that. Straight and rigid, but yet, he didn't fly off the handle. He sort of did what he needed to do. Sort of controlled, and in that kind of situation, it's sort of interesting to have a character that's like that, that's not just yelling and screaming and shooting everything around him. He was, even when he was getting shot, it was still a control to that. Yeah. So I found that interesting. It's an interesting contrast.
Okay.